It's Monday, Team Impact. Back in the command center here. Going to get started with a new lesson. I know some of you are still going to finish your quiz, uh, which is fine. But we need to move on. So some of you will be watching this video if you're finishing your quiz. So that's a good thing that we have it. Absolute value today. Absolute value is a number's distance from zero. So it's written with two bars vertically, and we'll get into more of that in just a minute. Okay. So anyway, a number line extends from -10 to 10 is sketched out. Christine is standing at -5. Andre is standing at 5. How far uh, are each other? How far away from each other are they? And who is further from zero? Okay. So when we talk about this, we're going to talk about absolute value. When we talk about absolute value, we write it like this: the absolute value of -5 is 5. It's always the positive value, meaning it's 5 places from zero. And then the same thing applies over here. The absolute value of 5 is 5. So the answer is both a positive because it's 5 places from zero. If you add those absolute values up, you get 10, and they're 10 places from here to here. And that's kind of why we use absolute value when we're dealing with integers. Okay? All right, little vocab. The absolute value of a number is the distance away from zero on the number line. It is always positive because it refers to distance. Just showed you that right up there. So this is read as the absolute value of -5. That's how that's read. What is the absolute value of -5? 5. What is the absolute value of 5? 5. So they are the same. They have the same distance from zero. Okay. All right, we're going to plot some points on the number line here. Some are looks like they're all absolute values. So what is the absolute value of -8? 8. So I'm going to come over here. The absolute value of -1 is 1. Put it there. Absolute value of 3 is 3. The absolute value of -4.5. Well, here's but I need the absolute value of that. Would be about right there. And then the absolute value of 6 is here. Okay. So not too bad so far. Now we're going to do a little comparing with some inequalities. Okay. So the absolute value of this is 4.9. And the absolute value of -5 is 5. What inequality goes there? A less than. The absolute value of 10 is 10. The absolute value of -10 is 10. That's an equal. Go ahead and do the next two, please, on your own. Pause it. $36 is greater than 19. 9 2/3 and 9. It's another greater than sign. A football team loses 20 yards on a quarterback sack. Write the absolute value to represent the change in yards. So they lost 20 yards. The absolute value of -20 is 20. Is 20. A submarine submerges and travels 120 feet below sea level. Below, that's a negative one. Write the absolute value to represent its change in depth. So the absolute value of that is 120. Mm-hmm. So not too bad so far, right? Remember, absolute value is vertical lines. Let's flip the page and continue our path. The opposite of a number is the same distance from zero, but always on the other side. Oops, sorry. Other side of the number line. It can be either positive or negative, right? So let's see if we can get through this chart here. The number here is it's right in the middle between -2 and 0, which is going to be -1. The absolute value of -1 is 1. And then the opposite, okay? The opposite of the number is 1, okay? So we're taking the opposite of the original and telling it how far the distance is from 0. That next number looks to be about -9, okay? The absolute value is 9. The opposite of the original number is 9 as well. Okay, try the next two on your own, please. In between 1 and negative, it's -1.5. The absolute value is 1.5. The opposite of that. Okay, pretty easy once you understand what they're asking. The third one looks to be what? Here's 6. Here's 8. Here would be 7. That looks to be about what? 7.5 to me. The absolute value of 7.5 is 7.5, and the opposite of 7.5 is -7.5, the opposite of that. Okay? All right. Several clues are given to describe various points on the number line. Determine which number the clue is describing and mark the point on the number line. Okay? All right. Next up, point A is 10 away from 0, and it's opposite of -10. Okay? So here's 0. Point A is 10 away from 0, and it's opposite of -10, so it is 10. And if you want to, you can put the number 10 there. The opposite of point B is positive. Its absolute value is 15. The opposite of B is positive. Okay? The opposite of B is positive, so the opposite is going to be over here. But its absolute value is 15, so that tells me it has to be -15 because the opposite of -15 is that. So let's put a B there. Letter C. These are a little confusing. Now you got to talk yourself through them. Point C is 20 away from the 0, and it's opposite of -20. Well, if it's 20 away from 0, so it either has to be -20 or 20, but wait a second, it's opposite of -20, so I'm going to put that plot there in a C. The opposite of point D is negative. The opposite of point D is negative, okay? So it's going to be over here, the opposite of it. But its absolute value is 5. So the opposite of point D is negative, right? And its absolute value is 5. Well, it's 5 places from 0. Okay. So that's point D. All right. Good stuff. Okay, pause the video and go ahead and do numbers 9 and 10 on your own, please. And then check it. All righty here. Nikki places 4 different numbers on the number line. Which point represents the absolute value of -2/3? So we would have the absolute value of -2/3, which is 2/3. So what represents 2/3? 1/3, 2/3, 3/3 is 1. This is it. Point D. Point D. The magic number is -45. Mark each statement below as true or false. The opposite of the magic number is 45. The opposite. All right. Well, it doesn't say, yeah, that's true. The opposite of -45 is 45. -45 represents the absolute value of the magic number. The absolute value of a number is its positive. So that's false. The magic number is 45 units away from 0. Well, sure, because the absolute value of -45 is 45, so that is true. 45 places from 0. Okay, so that takes us through the lesson, talking about opposites and absolute value. If we flip the page over and take a look at absolute value, you're going to be doing numbers 1 to 9. Not too bad. Take your time, not a lot of work. And I'll see you when I see you.